All right, let's jump right into this explainer because we've got some seriously cool Eberron mechanics to unpack today. If you've spent literally any time with this system, you know that wielding a crossbow isn't just, point and shoot. It's an absolute art form. So today, we're pitting three wildly distinct range combat philosophies against each other. We're looking at the rogue mechanic, the universal inquisitive tree, and the artificer's battle engineer. All three of them use some sort of crossbow to deal damage, but how they do it? Completely different. We're going to break down their unique playstyles, list out their key weapon bonuses, and absolutely, we're going to rate their average damage output when things get chaotic and heavy combat. Let's do this.
Take this quote, for example. Curious inquisitives can transform any light or heavy crossbow into a pair of hand crossbows and excel at both, shooting first and asking questions later. I mean, how cool is that? We're not just talking about standing in the back plinking away with basic bolts. We're talking about physically transforming the weapon itself, blending magic, mechanics, and this raw, gritty, investigative flavor to just completely dominate the battlefield.
Okay, here's our roadmap for this explainer. First, we'll look at the crossbow combatants overall. Then, we'll break down the rogue mechanic, aka the sniper. Next up is the inquisitive, our dual crossbow detective. After that, the battle engineer, serving as arcane artillery. And finally, we'll wrap it all up with choosing your crossbow path.
Section 1. The Crossbow Combatants. 3 distinct approaches to ranged domination. Think of it like this. The crossbow itself, that's just the hardware. Your enhancement tree is the operating system. And when you tweak that OS, you can go from being a highly calculated sniper to a rapid-fire detective to a literal magic-infused commando. Whether you're a rogue, tapping into a universal tree, or rolling an artificer, the way you actually pull the trigger changes from the ground up based on the combat philosophy you adopt.
Let's kick things off with Section 2, Rogue Mechanic, the calculated sniper. So, the rogue mechanic's whole vibe is locking down the room before they even take the shot. These guys don't just kick down the door guns blazing. Actually, scratch that. It's more like they control the entire flow of the fight. They use their massive disable device skills to drop these nasty physical and elemental traps like Time Bomb and Tanglefoot. So by the time the first bolt flies, their targets are basically sitting ducks on the floor. And when that bolt does fly, it hits like a freight train. Let's look at these key bonuses. They translate their intelligence modifier straight into raw damage using targeting sights. Then, Expert Builder takes great crossbows and ramps up their critical multiplier. Add in massive sneak attack dice and a Vorpal strike threshold that hits on a 19 or a 20. Yeah, that means an insanely high chance to trigger an instant kill on a crit. Throw in a 30% boost to ranged alacrity for good measure. So how does this actually rate for average damage output in heavy combat? Well, it's absolutely phenomenal for single target burst damage. As long as your frontline tank is holding aggro, keeping the bad guys looking the other way, the mechanic will literally delete priority targets in the backline with these massive calculated hits. All right, moving right along to Section 3, Inquisitive, Dual Crossbow Detective.
Now, the inquisitive tree literally breaks the standard mold. First off, it's a universal tree, meaning anybody can tap into it. And it completely flips the script on traditional ranged combat by taking your equipped light or heavy crossbow and magically splitting it into 2-hand crossbows, one for each hand. This dual-wielding mechanic means your attack speed and just the sheer visual output transforms into this relentless, non-stop barrage of bolts.
It is all about overwhelming speed. Look at these key bonuses. You get incredible damage toggles like Law on your side, which slaps Scaling Law or Chaos damage onto every single hit. You get Vorpal knockdowns on a natural 20, but the absolute showstopper here is no holds barred. It's an intense action boost that gives you instant reloading for 18 seconds. 18 seconds of just pure uninterrupted fire. When we rate their average damage output in heavy combat, the Inquisitive is a Tier 1 sustained damage hose. With the dual firing, the extra imbues, and those crazy action-boosted firing rates, they are handing out the highest, most reliable raw DPS, or damage per second, on the entire battlefield. Hands down.
I absolutely love this thematic tactical choice you get in the tree too. You can choose Ask Questions Later, which uses your diplomacy skill to hit enemies with a crushing despair debuff, really weakening their resolve. Or, if talking isn't really your thing, you grab Shoot Later. This is a massive area of effect burst that fires an entire dual crossbow barrage directly into a cluster of enemies. It perfectly captures that hard-boiled detective theme where you're just fresh out of patience.
Let's check out Section 4, Battle Engineer, Arcane Artillery. This playstyle right here is all about weaponizing arcane technology. It's totally anchored by the rune arm, blending this raw, magical charge with heavy mechanical bolts. So the Artificer isn't just firing a crossbow, they're simultaneously charging up this literal magic cannon on their off arm. As that rune arm builds through its charge tiers, it pumps up to 40 universal spell power back into the Artificer. It makes every single spell and magical effect they use significantly stronger.
They are basically systematically rebuilding their weapons with arcane energy to get maximum efficiency. Infused weapons straight up upgrades the enhancement value of their main hand bow. The Agility engine hands out double shot and double strike just for wearing the rune arm, so every attack has a chance to hit twice. And at the highest tier, Master Engineer literally turns the crossbow into a spellcasting implement. They are a self-contained walking weapons laboratory.
All this arcane gadgetry makes them unbelievably valuable in heavy combat. Take tactical attacks like Shattered Defenses. It drops enemy armor class by 5, strips 10% of their fortification, and slaps them with Trauma Shock. Because of this, when we rate their damage output in chaotic combat, we really have to look at the whole picture. Sure, their personal, single-target numbers might not spike quite as high as a pure rogue mechanic sneak attack, but their effective damage contribution, it's arguably unmatched. They are the ultimate offensive force multiplier. By constantly ripping apart enemy armor, they massively boost the damage of everyone else in the party.
Finally, Section 5. Choosing your crossbow path, synthesizing the arsenal.
So if we put these three philosophies side by side right here, you can really see how your weapon focus and primary stats drive your playstyle. Want to leverage great crossbows with intelligence, lay traps, and deal massive burst sneak attacks? Go mechanic. Looking for the visual flair and sustained DPS of dual hand crossbows, maybe mixing in some diplomacy? The adaptable Inquisitive is your best bet. Or if you want to strap a magical rune arm to yourself, using your intelligence to buff weapons and shatter enemy armor for the whole team, then you've got to answer the call of the Battle Engineer.
So as we wrap up this explainer, I want you to think about your own playstyle for a second. When you log in next, are you going to be the highly calculated sniper, the dual-wielding, rapid-fire detective, or maybe the tactical armor-shredding arcane commando? The mechanics are all sitting right there waiting for you. You just have to choose how you want to pull the trigger. Which combat philosophy is going to completely define your next adventure? Thanks for hanging out with me on this deep dive, and I'll catch you in the next explainer.